I think I have to do Terrence Popp, because I think I put him in the title of the video, and when I put things in the title, I feel obligated to do them. Otherwise, the title's basically a lie. So, let's see how far we can get into Terrence Popp's new video. Terrence Popp, another bitter, divorced man who, instead of recognizing that the divorce may have at least in part been the fault of himself and how awful he is as a human being, instead he's just taken that bitterness and bottled it up, and he vomits it out on other people. Not only with, like, bad takes on women. He's, said really, really negative things about women as a whole many, many times, but now he's stepping into the political sphere, and he's talking about politics, and he is a hardcore Trump supporter. So, I guess today we'll see what he thinks. Terrence has a video entitled 4 Years of Treason, live from the lair. So let's see this insane alcoholic and his crazy board full of conspiracies about how leftists and Democrats have secretly committed treason against the president by disagreeing with him. Devious Chillster with 10 bits. In 16 years, when Jake has finally found out the secret to grafting corn DNA to his body and has become the corn equivalent of Harold Penisman, and Hannah becomes sci-fi mommy, they watch Tate as he makes his 50th video on how books killed his friends while shilling his own books. That'll be fun.
I really think this whole thing has been engineered to try to get Trump out of office. Why that is, I shudder at the thought of the greater evil that is pulling the strings behind all of this and what it has in store for us all.
You think he's a QAnon believer? What do you guys think?
All right, everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode. Live from the lair. I've been doing my research, cruising the dark web, talking to people I know.
Cruising the dark web. He looks like a trailer park version of Steve from Blue's Clues. Oh my god, he does. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from. And there's just like a Q on it. Uh-oh, Blue. The Democrats are sacrificing children for their adrenochrome. Jesus Christ. Greater evil, and then the 3 parentheses that, anti-Semites use. Yeah, maybe.
Individuals that I converse with on a regular basis on the internet, watching the news feeds, none of it looks good. In fact, the intel I'm getting...
Intel. Devious Chillster with 10 bits. Uh-oh, Blue. I have to send you to the farm upstate because blue is the color of Nancy Pelosi. I'm replacing you with a red dog.
Everything I'm looking at is pointing at the left pulling out all stops.
Greater evil, he means Jewish people, doesn't he? Maybe. The dog whistle is always complicated from these people, because it's unclear to me if they're dog whistling or if they've just fallen for dog whistles and don't necessarily know exactly what they mean. It's hard to tell.
Stops to include violence. Now I'm going to go through some of these steps with you, and you can judge for yourself. Maybe you think I'm full of shit. That's fine. I don't care.
Perfect.
Or maybe, perhaps, if you've been watching all my other stuff in regards to this craziness, you probably are thinking, well, he might have a little bit of insight on what's going on. Now,
you don't, though.
Please go back and check out all my zombie apocalypse videos that I started making 5 years ago. Because even back then, the way my mind works, I could see this coming. I just got all kinds of bad feelings about this entire craziness that's going to unfold. And also, the guys on the right, they're completely unprepared for this. The left has had years of indoc, both in grade school, middle school, high.
I wish the left, everyone from, centrist to liberals to outright commies, I wish the left was as organized and efficient as people on the right think we are. Wouldn't that be nice if we were this secret underground deep state organization that was really effective at pushing left-leaning policy? That would be nice.
High school and college. Okay, they have set the stage in regards to communism and...
He said that they said it. Communism!
How America is so unfair and everybody deserves free shit and should be guaranteed an income and not have to work for it.
That's not what the majority of people on the left are saying at all. Have you listened to literally anyone on the left in the past 4 years? Like, even someone who's for, universal basic income, it's not to make it so you don't work. It's to make sure that while you work, you can still pay for things like food and shelter for you and your family. It's not about not working. It's making sure that people who work, who can work, are taken care of, and they're not getting shafted by the system, right? And not everyone on the left is in favor of UBI, at least not in the form that it was, shown in this election cycle, right? There are, of course, centrist left people like Biden who aren't in favor of UBI, as far as I'm aware. So, swing and a miss? I'm gonna go with swing and a miss. Stephen J. Neptune, man, the existence of Bernie or Busters and tankies proves that the left isn't as organized as the right thinks it is. Oh, for sure. For sure.
And at the same time, shipping the jobs overseas.
Capitalists did that. Capitalists did that. The people who own the businesses, they chose to do that. You get that, right?
Having these people pay large sums of money for college educations for said jobs, which no longer exist.
What? No. Manufacturing jobs that require no schooling have been shipped overseas. The jobs in the United States are either service industry or in things like design or how do I put this? Engineering, stuff like that, which you need school for. The jobs that remain require school, whereas the ones that were unskilled is a bad word for it, because it takes skill to do any job. But let's say learn on the job labor for factory stuff, that got shipped overseas. Stuff where you're reading and thinking about stuff and developing new things, whether you're developing a widget or an iPhone or a computer or an airplane or whatever you happen to be developing, these things require schooling, a lot of schooling. So you're kind of real backwards on that point.
And then they throw out the victim card to them saying, hey, it's not your fault. All the jobs are gone. You can't pay back your debt. Wham. All right.
Even within your own statement there, it wouldn't be the fault of the people who were told to go to college. Even if what you were saying was true in terms of making the left the bad guy in the case of, jobs being shipped overseas, now you're saying, oh, but all these young people think they're just victims. You just described a situation where they would be victims. What are you talking about? Oh, this guy's so stupid.
What truly makes a man wealthy? Is it money? Well, with production techniques and technology allowing humanity to extract more wealth from finite resources, the concept of wealth and money might be wilting faster than a Western woman's fertility.
Wow. Jesus Christ. Wind Chanter with 10 bits. You mean to tell me that corporations didn't care if Americans kept their jobs as long as it improved their bottom line and the free market isn't some benevolent thing that rewards merit based on hard work? Yeah, basically.
Aaron Clary's new publication, Sanity is the Future of Wealth, really delves into exactly why common sense has become a superpower. Check it out right now on Amazon. A link is in the description.
This cover is a work of art.
As it stands now, Big Tech, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, or I call Twatter, are actively censoring.
That's usually, by the way, you can tell someone has really good arguments when they just call things names. Like when they call Twitter Twatter, or like when they call, I don't know, what's a good example of this? When they put a lot of emphasis on Barack Hussein Obama, you know, as if his middle name actually makes him scary or something. Or this even exists in the opposite. Like there are times when like people on the left will also call people on the right by some stupid nickname, and they're like, haha, nailed it. Usually it's liberals who do that kind of thing, but Querulous Artisan says the man with no common sense. Yep.
Leading and banning individuals who speak out against this craziness. In fact, you might not even be able to see this on YouTube. You might have to catch it on the alt-tech platforms.
As you put, when you're trying to diminish people who are victims, I guess I should just say right here, wah? Isn't that what you say when other people are explaining that they've been victims of something and now you're doing the same thing? Wah? Get over it?
We're going to try to put it on YouTube. As a betting man, I would say this is going to be at a minimum demonetized, if not just removed.
That'd be
with
nice.
or without a strike for community guidelines. But I have to do it anyway, because I can't lie. I'm not good at it. And I always tell you guys the truth, or at least my truthful opinion.
His skill set is drinking and malding. Those are the two things he's good at from what we've seen in his videos previously.
Now, next one. Major media. They're not even hiding it anymore. They are going full propaganda mode. This is what happens when you have all of your media, to include newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, and even the internet, owned by basically 6 corporations.
That's a capitalism problem yet again. That's a lack of, what's the word? That's a lack of regulations problem as well. It used to be the case that you could only own so many different outlets, but that went away. I'm pretty sure Reagan repealed that one. Good job, right? Once again, showing that you cause all of your own problems. Devious Chillster with 10 bits. Man, Steve really let himself go downhill ever since Blue died. Someone else already made that joke. Good joke, though.
Internet thing being owned by the 6 corporations, that can be debated, except for the fact that, you know, the individuals pulling the strings on the internet. There you go. All right, now, they're refusing to condemn the left as being violent, despite the fact we've had countless cities burned down.
What is this claim that cities have burned down? People on the right. No, they haven't. Like, Philadelphia is not sitting as a husk of itself. Do you know what burned down means? It means the entire city burned down. I think I saw an AutoZone burned, and then it turned out that AutoZone fire was set by a right-winger who was trying to make the protesters look bad. I'm sure there were other fires elsewhere, but 0 cities burned to the ground. This is my least favorite fucking lie that's been propagated by right-wingers over the past 6 months or so. The city burned to the ground! No, it didn't. 1 or 2 buildings burned down, which also isn't good, but calling it the city burned to the ground is one of the most ridiculously hyperbolic statements that you could possibly make. Come on.
People murdered.
Some of the people who were murdered by cops and by right-wing people who came to the protests to shoot people.
They're showing up at people's houses, doing all kinds of crazy shit. Okay, now, in my opinion, we have graduated from an insurrection to a low-grade shooting, revolution/civil war. That started about 6 weeks ago.
This is bananas that he's saying this. 99% of protest activity has been non-violent. Period. There have been people who were jackasses, but they were also being spurred on by the police, who were increasing their own violence. Like, I get that there have been some heated, fucked up situations in the past 6 months or so. It does not meet the bar of an insurrection or a revolution. It just doesn't. That's, again, the hyperbole talking. And it's dangerous hyperbole, because you're going to radicalize people who think the left is somehow starting a civil war, which we're not, by the way. And then you're going to have people on the right, like Rittenhouse, who are going to be like, oh, the leftists are starting stuff. I better go get my gun and drive across state lines and shoot people. This is how these people get radicalized. It's ridiculous.
And it's only going to get worse. All right, now, they're also playing the boogeyman thing where about, oh, it's the ultra-violent.
Every accusation is a confession. People on the right project like you wouldn't believe. It is a lot of projection.
Right. Despite the fact that they really aren't doing anything. I'm sure you've all heard, and I did a video on this, about the Michigan governor who was, there was a plot to kidnap her / do whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a plot to kidnap and murder her by a right-wing terrorist militia group. That's what happened, and you're gonna be like, whoa, the leftists are starting civil war. By the way, remember a couple weeks ago when a right-wing militia tried to kidnap and murder a Democratic governor? But the left, though. Ridiculous. MMO addicted, let me just drop this here again. And then it's some sort of link. Let's take a look. Demonstrations and political violence in America, new data for summer 2020. The U.S. Crisis Monitor is now updated with supplemental data extending back coverage back to the week of George Floyd's killing in May. For a summary of key findings, read the announcements here. For more information about the definitions and methodology, please check the U.S. Crisis Monitor facts as well as the ACLED resources library. Political violence, demonstrations, and strategic developments in the U.S. Coolio. Introduction. The United States is at a heightened risk of political violence and instability going into the 2020 general election. Mass shootings hit a record high last year. BBC is the citation for that. Violent hate crimes are on the rise, citing from Al Jazeera, and police killings continue unabated at 2.5 times the rate for black men as for white men. 538 is a citation. The COVID-19 pandemic has killed well over 180,000, that's over 225,000 now, and disrupted the economy, while George Floyd's death in police custody has sparked a massive wave of protest across the country. The U.S. Crisis Monitor, a joint project between ACLED and the Bridge Divines Initiative at Princeton University, collects real-time data on these trends in order to provide timely analysis and resources to support civil society efforts to track, prevent, and mitigate the risk of political violence in America. With supplemental collection extending coverage back to the week of George Floyd killing in May, the dataset now encompasses the latest phase of the Black Lives Matter movement, growing unrest related to the health crisis and politically motivated violence ahead of the November general election. These data reveal that the United States is in crisis. It faces a multitude of concurrent overlapping risks, from police abuse and racial injustice to pandemic-related unrest, and beyond, all exacerbated by increasing polarization. This report maps these trends with a view towards the upcoming election, with these intersecting risks are likely to intensify. Yep, gonna be a rough one this election, especially if Trump loses. Nationwide demonstrations. Well, the U.S. has long been home to a vibrant protest environment. Demonstrations surged to new levels in 2020. Between the 24th of May and 22nd of August, ACLED records more than 10,600 demonstrations events across the country. Over 10,100 of these, or nearly 95%, involve peaceful protesters. Fewer than 570, or approximately 5%, involve demonstrators engaging in violence. Well over 80% of all demonstrations connected to the Black Lives Matter movement. So it's 95, not 99. That's my bad. That probably includes the new data set. When I read it, it was like 99. So, yeah, the vast majority, it's not even close, the vast majority of demonstrations that have happened due to the George Floyd and other events, police injustice, all that jazz, have been completely peaceful. It's fine. It's fine.
I don't know what that entailed. And it came out later that it really wasn't a right-wing militia. The people...
What? That's an outright lie. You're trying to tell me you think that, for one thing, it's a militia. If you have militia, 99% of the time, right wing. You think this militia that wanted to kidnap and kill the governor of Michigan is not right wing? Are you out of your mind? This is a lie. This is an outright lie. MMO addicted. There's also part there that counts out how much violence initiated by police or third parties, which is quite a lot. I'd imagine so.
Doing it were basically anarchist boogaloo boys.
No. Nope.
Black Lives Matter.
Oh my god! No. No. How could you lie this blatantly and think no one's gonna be like, what? What are you talking about? You think that the right-wing militia, full of a bunch of white right-wing jackasses who wanted to murder the governor of Michigan, who is a Democratic woman, you think that they are Black Lives Matter protesters? I don't use the phrase "you're not even wrong" very often, but this is so wrong, it falls off the edge of the map. What? Oh no, I dropped this in my water. That's a shame. Worth it. Frustrating.
Funny about the tools of capitalism.
This is too crazy even for Q. Tired Park with 100 bits. I think that they really latched onto the idea that one of the guys was an anarchist because of a flag they allegedly saw in his video. Let's take a look at these guys, shall we? Militia. Governor. What we know about the militia members charged in kidnapping plot against Michigan governor. State and... By the way, this is what they look like. Oh, yes. Look at these dangerous Antifa members. They're not. They're not that. Oopsie. State and federal officials have charged 13 men with various offenses related to an alleged coup plotted against Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a scheme that involved months of planning and even rehearsals to kidnap the governor from her vacation home. Of the suspects, 7 are facing charges on the state level, while the other 6 are federally charged. Below is a breakdown of what authorities have alleged against the 6 federally charged men. They are charged with conspiring to kidnap the governor of Michigan from her vacation home prior to the November election, according to U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Michigan, Andrew Burge. The charge is a life offense. Adam D. Fox. Fox is 37, lives in Grand Rapids, and is alleged to be the leader of the would-be coup. According to an affidavit authorized by the FBI special agent, he and Barrett G. Croft Jr. were among the first to have electronic communications with each other in early 2020 about violently overthrowing several state governments they believed were violating the U.S. Constitution. Fox on June 6 was allegedly present with about 14 others at meetings in Dublin, Ohio. A confidential informant was present at the meeting. The Shadow Witch with 25 bits. Believe it or not, my dad told me the same thing. He said it was actually a Democratic Socialist that started it and ignored all the different right-wing organizations that were contacted throughout the planning. You can't win. Fox and others will just BS it away. It's ridiculous. The amount of lies that these people buy is so fucking ridiculous. The group talked about creating a society that followed the U.S. Bill of Rights where they could be self-sufficient, the affidavit states. They discussed differing ways of achieving this goal, from peaceful endeavors to violent actions. At one point, several members talked about state governments they believed were violating the U.S. Constitution, including the government of Michigan and Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Several members talked about murdering tyrants or taking a sitting governor. The group decided they needed to increase their numbers and encouraged each other to talk to their neighbors and spread their message. As part of the recruitment effort, Fox reached out to a Michigan-based militia group. On June 14th, a second confidential informant has recorded phone conversations with Fox. During this discussion, Fox said he needed 200 men to storm Michigan's capital, take hostages, including Whitmer. He explained a trial would be held for Whitmer for treason, and then the plan would have enacted before the November 3rd general election. They were basically planning on doing a kangaroo court and sentencing her to death for treason. The attendees discussed plans for assaulting the Michigan State Capitol, countering law enforcement's first responders, and using Molotov cocktails to destroy police vehicles, the document states. Fox later live-streamed a video to a private Facebook group in which he complained about Whitmer's executive orders having prevented gyms from being open. I can't go to the gym! It's time to ferment insurrection! I'm not a man-child! Also participated in a tactical training exercise at the Munith residence militia member on June 28th, the document states. As plans were increasingly finalized, Fox on October 2nd stated in an encrypted chat message with a confidential informant that he had bought 800,000-volt taser to use in the abduction of Whitmer. Ty G. Garbin. Garbin is 24 and resides in Livingston County's Heartland Township, though he also owns property in Luther and Cadillac. He met Fox and militia members at a Second Amendment rally. It's at a Second Amendment rally! These gosh darn liberals hanging out at Second Amendment rallies. Fox reportedly told Garbin, a confidential informant, he wanted to attack the Capitol and asked that they join forces, the affidavit states. MMO addicted with 10 bits, just train at home. If an effing wimp like me can train at home, then someone better at fitness sure can. Yeah. Garbin was present at the June 20th meeting in the basement of the Grand Rapids business. He also attended the tactical training exercise in Munith. He, Fox, and others also participated in firearms training and combat drills at a site in Cambria, Wisconsin, July 10th to 12th. Garbin and others there attempted to make improvised explosive devices, the document states. Also in July, Garbin suggested to his co-conspirators that they shoot up Whitmer's vacation home. Federal documents say the same day he said he did not want to go after the Capitol, but was cool with attacking Whitmer's home, even if it only resulted in destruction of property, according to the documents. Caleb J. Franks. Franks is 26 and a resident in Waterford. He was with Fox and Garbin at the 28th Tactical Training Exercise in Munith. On July 7th, Franks attended a meeting at the residence of another militia group member, along with a confidential informant. Franks allegedly said he was not cool with offensive kidnapping. Oh, well, that's good. At least he has standards, Jesus Christ. Adding he was just there for the training. After the meeting, however, Franks continued participating in the kidnapping plot, the document alleges. Franks was also in attendance at the weekend training session in Cambria, Wisconsin. The document states Franks was also present with Fox, Garbin, and others at the July 18th meeting in Ohio. At the time they discussed attacking a Michigan State police facility, the affidavit states. Daniel J. Harris. Harris is 23 and lives in Oakland County village of Lake Orion. He was also present at the July 18th meeting in Ohio when the idea of attacking an MSP facility was discussed. On August 9th, Harris was with others for additional tactical training session in Munith. In an encrypted chat involving Fox, Garbin, and Franks, Harris sent a message stating, quote, "Have one person go to her house, knock on the door, and when she answers it, just cap her. At this point, expletive, catch her walking into the building and act like a passerby and fixing dome her. Then you have yourself whoever does it," according to federal. Brandon Man, this guy lives in Canton. He was amongst those who participated in the tactical training, attended the weekend training, blah, blah, blah. Met with others at the Lake Orion home. In an audio recording he made by a confidential informant, Caserta alleges he, quote, "would rather not scare them, especially if it's an expletive political parasite. The world would be better without that person, I'll say that." Encrypted group chats indicate Fox, Garbin, Harris, and Franks plan to meet with an undercover FBI employee on the 7th to make a payment on explosives and exchange tactical gear. Caserta said he could not attend due to being at work, the affidavit states. Barry G. Croft. Croft is a 44-year-old resident of Bear, Delaware. The FBI identified Croft and Fox in early 2020, discussing the violent overthrow of certain governments and law enforcement components. The two men agreed to unite in their cause. The affidavit states Croft was among approximately 14 people who met in June 6th in Dublin, Ohio. He also attended the weekend training exercise in Wisconsin, during which he attempted to build an improvised explosive device, the document states. Croft was also present in Ohio in July when the group discussed attacking an MSP facility, the affidavit states. In September, Croft and others met at Garbin's property in Luther. Croft had bought what he called a, quote, chemistry set that included components for an improvised explosive device. He built such a device and detonated it in a clearing surrounded by human silhouette targets, the affidavit states. The FBI arrested Croft earlier in this week. I'm going to skip the affidavits. If I say something, assume it's coming from the affidavits and stuff. The FBI arrested Croft earlier this week in Swedesboro, New Jersey. He had his initial appearance before a federal magistrate Thursday the 8th. As of Friday, Croft was being held at a state prison in Wilmington, Delaware. A hearing on his continued detention and removal to Michigan is scheduled for Tuesday. Croft in December 1997 was convicted in Delaware of possessing a firearm during the commission of a felony. He spent 3 years in prison on that conviction. Prior to that, he spent a year incarcerated, a stint that ended in 96, the Associated Press reports. In April 2019, one week after Delaware revenue officials filed a state tax lien against Croft for more than $36,000, Democratic Governor John Carney granted him a pardon for the 97 conviction and several more convictions from 94 to 96. These crimes involved assault, burglary, theft, and receiving stolen property, the AP reports. The pardon came after a December 2018 Board of Pardons hearing in which the Delaware Attorney's Office did not object to Croft's request for a pardon. The board's recommendation for a pardon was based on the lack of opposition from the state and the need for a pardon for employment purposes. See if there's anything else. Because I'd like to see if they had anything involving, like, social media posts by any of these people. I have a feeling we all know how they were, you know? Militia, governor, social media posts. The chilling social media posts and videos of Trump-loving militiamen who plan to kidnap Michigan's governor and incite civil war. So let's take a look at some of these. Oh, Jesus Christ. We got it. Okay, cool. So here's one of the people who was going to kidnap the governor. Boy, look at this liberal. Weird that they're wearing a Trump hat. Huh. Very, very strange. Oh, look. Someone with their Twitter that's a "don't tread on me" thing. It's one of the guys who got arrested. I support my constitutional and God-given rights. Hashtag gun control, please. It's not the gun. It was an ISIS attack. We need guns to protect from people like that. Hashtag this week, we need to get away from the controllers of this country and become America again. That's what Trump wants. This week, Donald Trump would be great for this country. He wants the middle class to succeed, the class of people that built this country. Have some anti-Hillary Clinton Benghazi stuff. Like, guys, do you get it? They're Trump supporters. Anyone who claims these people are leftists or left is either lying to you or is stupid and has been lied to, and they didn't look at this at all. It's not subtle.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
MMO Addicted with 10 bits. I mean, no step on snake, even with its unfortunate connotations, is one of my favorite memes used to mock them. Yes, it's ridiculous. So, do we get it? Here's another one.
Are going to keep robbing us and keep controlling us. That's where the problem in this country is at. It isn't with you and me. It's with these people. These politicians that keep robbing us and taking our money and putting you against me when we're facing the same problems in this life. When we're doing the exact same thing, working to support our families, but yet somebody's putting a bug in our ear for racism or they're just better than you. Nobody's better than one another.
He's a right-wing dude. What else we got? Whitner kidnap plot. Home of 2 suspects raided in Munith. Neighbors saw dozens of militia in fatigues here in recent months. This training facility seems to be more of a gathering place with makeshift shooting range. So we have American flag and a Confederate flag. So again, these people are right-wing. People on the left do not fly Confederate flags. Jesus Christ. What else? Anything else interesting?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Liberty or death, American flag. Oh yeah, these darn lefties with their liberty or death flags. So yeah, they're right-wingers who were literally doing what Donald Trump told them to do. And anyone who says otherwise, again, is either lying or an idiot. Terrence might legit just be an idiot. He's pretty stupid. We don't fly Confederate flags because we don't support losers. True. Also the slavery thing. Not great. A Geek with a Guitar 99, thank you for subscribing with a 3-month streak, says, usually only get to watch these streams after the fact. Just wanted to drop in and let you know I died laughing at the guy pooping in that lady's face the other day. We'll keep subbing for the quality. Love the top. Thank you. MMO addicted, don't mind me, just working my way to the rightful place at the top.
But you're not hearing about that on the media, I'm telling you now.
Because it's a lie. Because everything you just said was a lie, and you're lying. Stop lying, you're lying.
And also the media keeps pushing this COVID bullshit.
It's not bullshit. Over 225,000 people have died. I don't even know what's up to today. U.S. COVID deaths. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at how many people have died due to incompetence. Still 225, and it's continuing to go up. That's a shame. A lot more people are going to die before this is over. It's almost like the government should have done its job. Weird stuff.
All right, this has been going on since January. Where are the millions upon millions of people who should be dead by now? Anybody? They're not there.
Literally 250,000 people, a 250,000 people have died, bud. If we're looking at worldwide COVID deaths, we're at over 1 million dead people on the planet due to COVID. People are dying. What do you want? And this is already after we've taken certain measures, where many states have done mask mandates or done stay-at-home orders from time to time. Yet, dumb people keep going out and thinking this is all a hoax and thinking masks are stupid. So this is going to go on for a while, probably until we have a vaccine, and it's going to be bad.
In fact, a majority of the dead are from blue states, where the governors...
That's because that's where a lot of the cases are, because blue states, as it turns out, is where most Americans live, because they're high population density areas like New York and LA. Do you know how population density works and how it relates to communicable disease? Think about it for 5 seconds and then get back to me. Antipodian Squid with 10 bits. Melbourne had 0 cases and 0 deaths 2 days in a row. Rad. Good for them.
Ordered that people with COVID be put in rest homes, old folks' homes, and care homes, thus decimating the older population.
What? Where are you getting this idea that people with COVID were being put in old age homes? What? Winch Chanter with 10 bits. They're also most likely to actually test people. True.
And those with compromised immune systems. Lo and behold, doing that is bad, despite the fact that disease historically goes after the old and infirm first. Just saying. Now,
old folks' homes have been closed down like all year. Like you're not even allowed to visit people at old age homes. What are you talking about?
now we have the Democratic Party.
It's like he literally is reading bullshit on 4chan and he thinks it's real. And he's putting it on this board like, see all these things. Like, no. 4chan is not real. Please stop. Please stop repeating nonsense you read there. Iron Q-Bolt, that's actually true. The mayor of New York ordered COVID-positive people to be put in old folks' homes. Oh, that's incredibly stupid if it's true. Devious Chillster with 10 bits. Screw me, I guess. I guess I deserve to die because I was born the runt of the freaking litter.
Which is actively pushing to suppress the vote. Okay.
What? Democrats and people on the left. I'm not a Democrat, but I'm a leftist, right? Probably a soc dem, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm not going to put a label on myself. I don't really care. Are promoting voting. What are you talking about? Donald Trump is the one out here being like, it's all a hoax. All this mail-in voting, it's a fraud. It's the biggest hoax. They're gonna, come on. No, people on the left want people to go out and vote. What are you talking about? The right has been dismantling, like, postal service effectiveness all year and removing sorting machines to try and make mail-in voting more difficult. They've reduced the number of places to drop off your mail-in ballots in places like Texas. They've reduced the number of polling places in red states in black communities. Like, the projection here is so clear it would stand in for a fucking IMAX theater. You cannot say these things and not recognize that you are lying. Querulous Artisan, the right is the one setting up fake drop-off boxes. Yep, California.
Okay, they're supporting voter fraud. This mail-in ballot bullshit.
Oh my god, mail-in ballots are not voter fraud. How many times do we have to go over this? There are states that have been entirely voting by mail for years. These people, literally, Trump could say, open your mouth, and he could spread his cheeks and poop into their mouths, and they'd be like, yummy candy, daddy. No! Just because Trump says some bullshit, like, oh, the voter fraud's gonna be huge because of mail-in ballot, that doesn't make it true. Trump lies, and more than lies, he just doesn't know what he's talking about, and his narcissistic brain being eaten away by his old age and McDonald's diet makes him just say stuff. He has no basis to believe that mail-in voting is going to increase fraud. Period. And neither do you. So stop taking the regurgitated horse crap that comes out of Trump's face at face value. Please. Querulous Artisan, Trump actually said to red states, vote twice to test the system. He did. He did. He's very, very stupid.
Listen, we've had mail-in ballots before, but they are absentee ballots where you request them, prove who you are.
The same thing happens with other mail-in voting that we're doing this year, dipshit. It's the same process.
You get them in the mail, send them back. There's a chain of custody.
This is how it works with what we're doing currently. What do you think mail-in voting is? What?
Nothing funny about the tools of
Never before.
74 Quinn 74. I learned on stuff you should know that although vote in mail is obviously doesn't have move fraud, it does make up a failure rise from 1 to 2%. Sure, I'd imagine there's a little bit higher like loss and stuff in terms of it's going through the mail service, but not enough to matter most of the time. And it would be, equivalent. It wouldn't be partisan. Querulous Artisan, arg. Yep.
Have we had millions upon millions of votes sent out willy-nilly in the mail?
By the same system that would handle absentee ballots, because voting by mail is the same process as an absentee ballot. I don't even know if there's like a difference. I don't think there is a difference. They're pretty much, isn't just a mail-in ballot and a absentee ballot, they're just synonyms. It's not even a different thing. These people have worms in their brain, and all the worms are named Donald Trump, and they don't understand anything about the world, and they just hear the random word salad that he says, and they're like, that sounds like a thing that's real. I believe it now. Maya is bored with 35 bits. Wish I could stay, but it's 12:30 a.m. over here, and I really need to get to bed, so have some bits as a good night treat. Thank you. Hope you have a good evening.
We don't know who's filling them out.
Win chanted with 10 bits, Trump when he loses the election, and there's a link. Let me look.
Nixon out!
Jesus.
tools of capitalism.
And then Andrew Dickerson with 10 bits. He thinks mail-in voting is just buying an envelope and writing in who you want to vote for and putting it in the mail. He can't be that stupid. He cannot be that stupid.
In fact, a lot of them are going to people who are dead, moved
Evidence? Evidence? Do you have any evidence of this? Because you can't just feel something and then say it like it's true.
out of the state. Who knows? Some people might vote 5 or 6 times.
No, that won't happen. Do you know why? Recently, multiple Trump voters have been arrested and charged for trying to vote twice Because, what do you know? Trump told them to try and vote twice. So at least a couple Trump supporters were arrested and federally charged for actual voter fraud. Funny when this comes up and it's voter fraud, I've only ever seen this happen to Trump supporters. It happened a couple times in 2016, and it's happened this year. They tried to vote in mail and in person. And what do you know? That's illegal, and they get caught quite easily. Wind Chanter, yes, he can, Hannah. He can be that stupid. That's depressing. The Shadow Witch with 50 bits. If the GOP keeps going right and keeps the science denial, then it'll end up on the conspiracy party spectrum with flat earthers. It has went beyond climate change to now being just basic science taught in middle school. I could have went all my life without, quote, alternative facts being a thing to idiots. Yeah, it's frustrating.
The Democratic Party's pushing false narratives. They are all aboard this pandemic panic bullshit that's going on. In regards to even Trump, he caught the coof, you know, the EIU is who I call it, you know, unknown illness of unspecified origin.
We know what? We know things about COVID. It's not like a UFO. What are you talking about?
And he basically beat it and is now testing positive. And they used...
Yeah, after he got airlifted to the hospital where he was given multiple experimental drugs. Hello? Did you pay attention to any of that?
Primarily all the new stuff that they've come out on how to treat this and reduce its deadliness. And rumor is he was still taking hydroxychloroquine.
No, he was not. No, he was not.
Capitalism.
Oh! He's literally taking things he's read like on 4chan, and he's saying it's true. This is very frustrating. Confused Lizard with 100 bits. I don't know if creationists count as Chud, but here's a silly article about one claiming fire-breathing dinosaurs were a thing. Probably save it for another day. I do want to cover creationist stuff more, but don't know when we should. That'd probably be on a Tinfoil Tuesday type thing.
As, you know, a preventative measure, which I'm pretty sure assisted in making sure he got a mild case.
This guy is legit a moron. This guy is so stupid.
It is what it is. I'm just saying what the rumor is on the street.
I read this on 4chan. It's true because it makes my fifis feel good.
You can believe me or not. Don't care. Okay, the blue states continue to push this whole COVID crap.
Because we have I think just today we hit a record number of new cases. We're just getting started, folks, because idiots like this guy think they're smarter than doctors.
And they're
about the tools of capitalism.
Querulous Artist and Hannah, I want a refund on the IQ points I lost. I do too. I really do.
crushing their state economies and thus dragging the rest of the United States economy down with it. I really think this whole thing has been engineered to try to get Trump out of office. Why that is engineered with it.
I'm gonna report this for spreading dangerous lies. Let's see, what else? What would it be under? It's always hard to figure out. Not under promotes terrorism. Didn't they add a thing a while back that's like misleading or something? What was that under? It's not under any of this. No, that's
There's
not
nothing
it.
funny about the tools of capitalism.
The Ender 92. Weirdly enough, in Texas, about as red as it gets is having record numbers of COVID because everyone is a dumb AF state refuses to wear a mask. Yeah, it's stupid. Not gonna be under that one. No. What do you guys think?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Daddy Sume with 10 bits. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that would be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. I'm gonna say scams are fraud. Good enough. Claiming COVID is made up and planned by Democrats. Fine, that'll do.
I really think this whole thing has been engineered to try to get Trump out of office. Why that is, I shudder at the thought of the greater evil that is pulling the strings behind all of this and what it has in store for us all.
This entire stream could just be described with that quote. True. Stephen J. Neptune Man, if COVID-19 is a plot by Democrats, why does the rest of the world have it, right? Like, do these people not understand that America is not the only country in the world? It's not. You can't just say things like that.
The Dems are supporting Green New Deal, which is basically...
Is he just gonna say, it's basically communism? Say it. Say it, you beautiful dumb man.
socialism in a nutshell.
Pretty close. That was pretty close.
With a blend of communism.
Oh, we did it! We got it! We got there. We got there in the end. Uh-oh. We're gonna subsidize solar energy. That's communism. It's not. That's not what communism means, nor is that what socialism means. He said the thing. He did say the thing.
Attached. There's no way you'll be able to flip to a green economy willy-nilly like that without starving an assload of people.
Why? All you would be doing is providing new jobs for people. Like, hey, do you want to come be a solar engineer or a solar panel tech? Come on, let's do that. Yay, new jobs. New jobs are communism.
Pissing off everyone, crashing our economy. And when and if that happens, it will be bad for everyone, particularly the Dems, because they're going to get blamed for it. Okay, they're also supporting Black Lives Matter.
This is going to be bad.
Because for a few months there, that was the lion's share of the Democratic Party's donations. Because Act Blue directly funnels money from BLM to the Democratic Party.
What?
The news articles are out there. Google them. Read it for yourself.
I don't even know what he's talking about on this one. Let's go. Black Lives Matter donations going to Democrats. Ooh, the Statesman. I don't know what that is. Factcheck.org.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
MMO addicted with 10 bits. Goddamn. God damn it, in many famines in communist countries are either A, the result of sanctions, a power move by the ruling autocracy like the Holodomor in Ukraine. I don't know a lot about it. News from the rest of the world is a Democratic lie. Is there like a Snopes article? There's an AP News article. Link on Black Lives Matter website does not donate directly to DMC. Claim when you click on the donate link on blacklivesmatter.com, it takes you to the fundraising site Act Blue, and any unclaimed money is donated to Democrat candidates. AP's assessment, false. Posts online do not show Act Blue charities, so it's false. He's just spreading lies. Good job.
And indirectly, they're supporting Antifa, which my sources are saying...
Who are they giving money to if they're supporting Antifa? Please. Can I, like, fill out a thing for a grant somewhere where it'll be like, Democratic Party or Black Lives Matter? I would like money so I can buy a bike lock and a mask. Please. Send me money. Antifa is not an organization. It's like a political position. It's being anti-fascist. And guess what? Anyone who's not a fascist is an anti-fascist. There is no one to give money to. That doesn't even make sense as a claim.
Thing is the armed wing for the upcoming coup that we will possibly be facing.
You know, if Antifa was committing a coup, it would be the weirdest coup in history. It would be like a bunch of furries.
There's nothing funny about the tools of
It'd be a
capitalism.
bunch of furries and like twinks and a bunch of people just with baseball bats tearing down the most powerful military power in human history. And I think that would be pretty cool in a history book context.
That's right, capitalistic propaganda.
TubeMan642. It's crazy how these right-wingers talk about the Green New Deal will kill middle America when Trump is already doing that. Yeah, Daddy Sume, you summoned me.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Bay Cop 2027, thank you for following.
And I'll get to that on the next board.
Confused Lizard, is he actually speaking to a class, or is he just trying to look like he is? Either way, it's cringe. He's just trying to. He does this in his basement. We've seen other parts of his basement. He's not talking to anyone except the camera.
The Democratic Party, from what they've been doing, has basically been conducting a low-grade coup
There's nothing
for
funny about
The furry rebellion of 2021, son, that's why.
3+ years, using Russiagate and then COVID. Okay, and they're ignoring evidence from investigating that Hillary basically was behind the entire thing.
Hold on. Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation manufactured COVID when the Benghazi scandal failed to kill enough American soldiers.
There's nothing funny about the tools of
Got that out of
capitalism.
her system. Jesus Christ. Daddy Sume, what the hell? Do not tell the normies the plan. We don't talk about Fight Club.
When is she going to get the bracelets and arrested and everyone else involved
Know what? Hillary Clinton is not getting arrested for
in this
anything.
coup?
Guys, he's straight up promoting like QAnon stuff. I think he's a QAnon person. Oh my god. He's stupider than I thought he was.
Because that's exactly what it is. This is treason, in my opinion, and should be treated treason involved in this coup. Because that's exactly what it is. This is treason, in my opinion, and should be
Funny about
Stephen J. Neptune, man, imagine talking about Hillary Clinton as though she's relevant in 2020, right?
treated as such. Okay, now we're going to get to the polls. Now, in 2016, Hillary was leading in virtually every state by almost double digits.
No, it's more complicated than that. Hillary was up almost double digits or up to double digits at some point in the election nationally. The polling actually did show it was very close on a state-to-state level, especially near the end of the election when the Comey memo came out and everyone was like, oh my god, her emails. So, no, there was definitely a polling error, and they've talked about this since then. If you follow, pollsters, or if you look at 538 ever, they've talked about the difference between the polling in 2016 and polling in 2020. In 2016, pollsters failed to take into account a large amount of non-college educated white voters who normally wouldn't vote but came out to vote for Trump because, he talks like an idiot, and idiots like when other people talk like them. So this year, they've accounted for that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. They might make completely different polling errors. But at the end of the day, polling is the closest you're going to get to any sort of barometer on where people are at in terms of voting for the election. Like, you can't just pull numbers out of your butt, right? At least a polling is at least giving you some sort of metric. I'm not saying polling is perfect, because it's not, and it never has been. But you can't just say it's all fake, because it's not, right? The polls were... what's the difference between precise and accurate? I always forget. The polls were very precise, but they were not accurate, if you know the difference between precise and accurate. Does that make sense? Using their own metrics, they were good at finding what they were trying to find, but it turned out the scope of what they were trying to find was off of what the reality was because they were discounting uneducated white voters from coming to the polls, which they've accounted for this cycle. So hopefully more in line with reality when it comes to election day, or at least when all the early voting also gets counted. But it's complicated. Polling's hard, you know? There's a reason people who do it are typically very, very smart people. And also Biden is up by more at this point than Hillary ever was. Hillary was already, the race was closing at this point for Hillary and Trump. It hasn't for Biden thus far. Could, and I'm not saying, look, I'm telling you go vote. Biden has a chance of losing. Who cares what he is in the polls? It's an interesting metric to look at to prepare yourself, but it doesn't matter. Like, do not pretend like you know who's going to win based on the polls. Ignore it. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote. The Mannequin, thank you for raiding with a party of 5. Welcome to the stream.
But somehow, she got her ass.
Oh, there's a different one. MMO Addicted with 10 bits. The Holodomor of Glowdomor lit death by hunger was a semi-artificial famine created as a consequence of the USSR policy in the Ukraine. It was bad enough that people resorted to cannibalism.
There's
Yikes.
funny about the tools of capitalism.
Querulous Artisan with 10 bits. Always act as if the person you want in office will lose without your vote. Yeah.
Ass kicked so hard, she is now wearing it as a hat and bitching about where her ass used to be. Just saying. But somehow here we are in 2020, and Biden is ahead by, you guessed it, double digits.
It depends on what you're talking. Let's look at 538 real quick. Why did it go Wyoming? I wanted to do 538. What the heck? 538. 538. There we go.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
MMO Addicted. Polls literally assume people go vote. If you don't vote, blame the polls. Don't blame the poll. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this is 538's statistical model. This basically shows each one of these dots is a different scenario that's potentially true. I think it's 100, and each one shows a different potential outcome for the election. So in their models, based upon the polling, they integrate both national and state polling and district polling into their model, and then they're weighted by reliability of the pollster. Their model shows that in 87 out of 100 simulations, Biden wins. Out of 12 out of 100, Trump wins. And then there's one tie, which would be bad. Can we not do the tie? Thank you. Let's look at Hillary Clinton's in 2016. 538, 2016. Model. Stephen J. Neptune Man, if you ever watched Married with Children, Al Bundy would never go off his high school, would never let go of his high school football playing days. That's how Donald Trump is with Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. No kidding. The Under 92, 12 possibilities, way too many for my liking. Yeah. It's too close. Oh, hey, real Jeff Holiday. Hell yeah, hey, Jeff, how you doing? Jeff Rating, thank you. Welcome, Raiders. We're talking about, we're talking about Terrence Popp, who is an idiot, and he is talking a bunch of conspiracy theories about the election, and now we're talking about polling and the relation between polling in 2016 and the results to 2020's polls and what might actually happen. Everyone go check out Real Jeff Holiday. Jeff has a really cool channel, both here on Twitch and on YouTube. Wingnut Roundups, a ton of fun. And also, I like when Jeff does the soap opera watching here on Twitch too. That's a lot of fun. So go check out Jeff's channel, please. And I do love the Jilly Juice emote. That's fantastic. Thank you everyone who's following, by the way. All right, so back to what I was saying. 2016 election forecast. So this was the 538 forecast from 2016. It's basically stayed the same. as it was on election night. So we'll take a look. This is what it looked like over time, right? There was a point at which Hillary was at 87 and Trump was at 12. That was on, oh boy, what was the date on that? October 19th. So if we move to where we are today, it was at 82 and 17. So Hillary was at slightly less than Biden is now, and again, the polling is slightly different than it was then. But like, stuff like this, it's probabilistic. This is not saying, when it says, oh, 87 out of 100, Biden wins. That doesn't mean Biden's going to win. That's not how probability works. It means, you know, there's basically a 1 in 10 chance that Trump is going to win, and those things do happen, right? Donald Trump on election night was up to almost a third of a chance, and I assume the race will probably tighten in the coming days too, although we have a slightly different political situation than we did back in 2016, where we had a ton of undecided voters up until the last minute, and there are fewer of those this election cycle, and also fewer third-party voters this election cycle. So it'll be interesting to see how the newer model bears itself out, but once again, I don't take polls as gospel. But you have nothing else to go on. You can't just make stuff up. So you look at numbers and you try and say, okay, these are potential scenarios. This is where people are at today. And you take that exactly for what it is. Trying to say like, oh, the polls are a hoax. No, they weren't a hoax. They were wrong. Pollsters can be wrong. That doesn't make them a hoax. The Shadow Witch with 100 bits. Hannah, I harass with my comments, but you are so fair and fun that I love to catch it live when I can. Much love, your cis white male millennial. P.S. Get away, we can get you food. You can even pick it up with, you can even pick with it what we are allowed to order. Trust me, it's fun. Maybe sometime. MMO Addicted with 10 bits. 1 in 10 is better odds than rolling a nat 20 on a d20, and that happens a lot. Yes, I would argue it's closer to the rolling a nat 1, but yes, on a 20-sided die, you have a 5% chance of hitting any particular number. So,
despite the fact he was holding rallies and having between 8 and 30 people show up, and the opposition, the Trump supporters.
Yeah, Biden's having small campaign events because Democrats. Of which I'm not, by the way. I'm a leftist, but I'm not a Democrat necessarily. I disagree with a lot of like Democrat policies. I think they're too right. But the reason is because Democrats take coronavirus seriously and Trump does not. He's probably leading to a lot of people getting sick that don't have to. Whereas Joe Biden, again, takes it seriously. Like, there are a lot of faults of Joe Biden. Him listening to scientists is not one of those faults.
Were dwarfing the amount of people who showed up to Biden's rallies. Harris can't even pull in those kind of numbers.
Because neither of them are holding giant rallies like Trump is, and also people on the left are going to be less likely to go out to an event like these anyway, even if they were holding them in the same way, because, again, people on the left tend to trust doctors and scientists that say you should not be around large crowds of people in close quarters.
You know, Pence held his own rally and pulled in somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 people. Is this an illusion? I don't know. Okay, I'm not an expert on polls. I really don't.
You're not an expert on anything except for destroying your liver. What are you talking about?
Know the internal workings of what they're doing. But for what I'm seeing on the ground, something just is not adding up. All of the debates were reported by major media that Trump and Pence lost them all.
Yeah, the polling after that bared that out, especially the first debate, by the way. Of course people said Trump lost. He was a petulant child the whole time. The other ones, the last one, he was chiller, relatively speaking. So I could see more how it would be a little more even, but no, that first one, he was an absolute monster.
Okay. Well, you're my audience. You watched me cover.
You can't ask your own audience about this. Your audience is going to be full of right-wingers like you who are Trump supporters. It would be like me asking you guys, well, what do you guys think? Who do you think won the debate? Oh, you all think Biden did because we're all leaning left here? What a shock. It's like Twitter polls. Twitter polls, when you're actually trying to gauge the opinions of the general public, is the stupidest thing. It's going to be a sample size entirely of people who follow you. It's stupid.
The presidential debate and the VP presidential debate. In fact, on the VP one, I used a stopwatch. And at no time did I see anything happen in those debates other than deflection, lying,
You've been lying this whole video, so I don't even know what your standard of a lie is.
attacking Trump and the Republicans. They have no platform. I mean, it just...
What? Yes, they do. Guys. The Republicans this year, literally, when they said what's like the Republican Party platform, it's literally they just said, and I'm not being hyperbolic, they said, we're gonna do whatever Donald Trump wants. That's our platform. That's having no platform. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do have a platform. You can find it on their website. And I'm sure Trump has some stuff too. But my point is, saying that the Democrats are the one with no platform is, again, the weirdest projection.
just boggles the mind how anyone with two brain cells rubbed together could come up with anything other than the fact that the Democrats and Harris and Biden, they lost their ass. I don't get it. Again, I mentioned it over here, major media is now in full propaganda mode. I guess that's proof. And you could basically say the polls are as well. Okay, now we come down to the Supreme Court.
Oh,
Trump
God.
picked his candidate. Female, impeccable record, first in her class in law school. She's a Catholic. She has like 7 kids. She adopted 2 who are black.
Why is any of this supposed to be relevant? The kids thing is not relevant. Her being Catholic is not necessarily relevant, except in the case that it might bias her to try and make certain rulings based on her religious beliefs and not on the secular laws we have on this country. The Ender 92 with 100 bits. Hannah, holy, just clicked this. What the heck? DonaldJTrump.com. It's just his website, I assume. Hold on, let me look. What about it? I mean, yeah, it's a Trump website. I guess I'm not sure what you're like holy crapping other than like, yeah, Donald Trump's a nightmare. I get it, but what specifically? Querulous Artisan, is it just me or does it seem like he's more drunk as time goes by? He gets drunk during the videos, so he probably is. Did the Biden thing not come up for you? No, it didn't. I have an ad blocker, though, so that might be why. AfroMonk666, thanks for following. The Ender 92, did the Biden thing not... Oh, already read that? No, it did not pop up for me. Trump presents blank book about his healthcare plans. Yeah. Trump has consistently lied like, I have a plan. No, they don't. This is what Ender means. Oh, this comes up when you don't have ad blocker. Joe Biden is a Trojan horse for the radical left. Their examples of the radical left are Chuck Schumer. No. Kamala Harris. Also no. And AOC. Which, yeah, she's left compared to, like, most of Congress and even most Democrats. I would agree with that. I wish Joe Biden was a Trojan horse for the radical left. That'd be nice.
But yet, the Democrats and the media are attacking his pick from all sides.
Yeah, because if you remember, back in 2016, thank you to Eldritch Apom, thank you for following. If you'll remember, back in 2016, Scalia died, and Obama picked a person to be nominated to the Supreme Court. And the Republicans, Mitch McConnell being a main one, of course, said, oh, it's an election year. We're not going to vote on your nominee to the Supreme Court on an election year, which of course had never been the standard ever. But it was just their way of making sure that Obama didn't get to pick another person for the Supreme Court. It was very ridiculous and underhanded and disgusting. So then Trump got into power, got that person on the Supreme Court. Now we're in not only an election year, we're in an election month. We are very close to being in an election week. And the Senate is like, no, we're pushing this bitch through. We don't care. They're not even following their own standard. Do you see that? That's disgusting, and it's messed up. It's hypocritical, and it's an underhanded, dirty tactic to push someone in so they can try and reverse things like Roe v. Wade, Obergefell v. Hodges, tons of other progressive court rulings. Like, it's pretty clear what's going on here, and if you don't see that, you're either an idiot or you're intentionally lying to yourself to try and shield yourself from the fact that Republicans are dirty, immoral people.
I'm fully expecting some kind of sexual bullshit to come out that's completely unfounded and unprovable to try to, slow this whole process up. I hope it doesn't happen, but as a betting man, there you go. Let's see. The Dems aren't really doing anything in regards to this, but stalling and trying to make this go in, after the election. I don't get it, but it is what it is.
Are you seriously not even going to mention 2016 like it didn't happen? Are you that dishonest? Really?
Okay. Biden and Harris refused to answer the question if they would pack the Supreme Court if they...
Yeah, they were basically giving an ultimatum. They were basically saying, we'll see what happens. It's a warning to Republicans to say, if you do this, we will pack the Supreme Court. And if you don't get that, you're very stupid. Hopefully they'll do it. I hope they do. Heck, I don't even care if Amy Coney Barrett gets put on. I hope she doesn't. She probably will, though. But even if she didn't, frig it. Put more people on the Supreme Court. I am so tired of worrying if one old boomer is going to decide whether or not gay people or black people or whoever has rights. Get some more people on there who aren't 100 years old, please.
Were elected, which means they are going to do that.
I hope so. I have very little faith that Biden has the actual, chutzpah to pack the court. I hope he does, though. I really, really, really do. Honestly, it's weird to me that the Supreme Court is only as many people as it is anyway. Considering the population of the United States, having that few people make these decisions just seems like a bad idea. It really, really does. Like, what if we had a judicial panel with, 51 people on it? What if we had one with 101 people on it? I don't know. It just seems like having 9 people decide the fate of 350 million people. Sketchy. Pretty sketch. She just got confirmed. Lovely.
That will
I can't say I'm shocked, but I am very disappointed in this country.
dilute
Time to pack the fucking court.
the Supreme Court to the point of it being basically feckless. Destroying our third pillar of government, weakening the government overall, which will take us down a dark road in the future.
You gonna mention, again, are you seriously not gonna mention, the year that Senate Republicans refused to hold any hearings on Merrick Garland? Really?
If not immediately. Let's see. My predictions. Here we go. All right. Now, the word on the street is...
It seems like having more people would make it harder to reach a conclusion. Why? They already have dissenting opinions. That's already a thing. It's just about... you vote, right? As long as it's not an even number of people, you're fine. MMO Addicted with 10 bits. Our Supreme Court has 120, most of whom were forcibly retired and replaced with uber Christian conservatives. Gross.
There are organizations on the move to do bad stuff shortly before and after the election, no matter who wins. No matter who wins. All right? The ultra-left don't give a shit about the Democrats or the Republicans. They want to burn the whole system to the ground. What does that entail? Well, basically 100% unemployment, reshuffling of all of the assets, zeroing out our currency, and starving a bunch of people, no medicine for anyone. Basically Venezuela, because that's what that entails, burning it all down to the ground. Okay, and the right will have to play catch up to try to undo all that if they are successful, which I hope they are not. I hope it doesn't come to pass, but from what I've been able...
What proof does he have of any of this? It's in his butt. He pulled it out of his butt.
to see, craziness probably is going to ensue. I am predicting massive amounts of voter fraud to be...
Based on what? Based on what?
Detected. Some of it will be stopped, some of it won't, and there will be massive lawsuits in regards to this. Like I said before, there will be riots. No matter what, there'll be a lot of blocking traffic, and the blue states are going to have it worse, to include general violence, attack on federal installations.
Daddy Sume, is this Steve from Blue's Clues after he fell down the Q hole? Yes, basically.
Courthouses and what have you. Now, in my opinion, they should probably go after family court because they have basically a large amount of responsibility for the craziness that has taken place in our civilization over the past 40 years.
What?
There's nothing funny about
I think he has a thing against family court because I think he doesn't get to see his kids. And also, I think his divorce proceedings went pretty badly, so... Ask Compy with 10 bits. Anyone voting that isn't white landowning man is voter fraud. Don't you know that, Hannah? And then a sarcasm thing. Of course.
But BLM and the left is blind to that. Go figure. All right, I'm expecting assassination attempts. These will take place on Republicans in office.
Guys, the assassination attempts we've seen over the past year were entirely weird right-wingers who've been radicalized by people like this, plotting to kill either, like, Whitmer, whom we already talked about earlier, or there have been also, like, FBI has foiled, like, stuff on against Harris, against Biden. The projection is so constant.
Police, judges, and perhaps they'll go after the big kahuna and the second in command himself. So, you better be on your toes. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get lively up in here. All right, there will be attacks on the wealthy. All right, Antifa, BLM, the left, they have no love for the wealthy, to include billionaires.
Yeah, billionaires are bad people. I'm not promoting violence in any way because I'm not that kind of person. But yeah, people on the left don't like billionaires because they're leeches who suck value from society away from people who actually do the work. That would be why.
No matter how much money they have donated to BLM, they have not removed the bullseye from their chest. And I don't care how much money you have, even if you have a private army, no one is beyond reproach.
Why does he give a shit about billionaires? Because he's been indoctrinated to believe that he can be one someday, even though he never will be.
May happen either during or before, during, or shortly after the election. I would expect this to take place. I am expecting suburb incursions, especially in blue states. Cops are not going to save you. In fact, there are Supreme Court judgments.
This doomsday scenario is so funny to me. I cannot believe that this guy is taking this seriously and he thinks this is going to happen. This is going to be, like, what happens if Biden wins, which hopefully he will, and none of this happens? Or even if Trump wins and none of this happens? Is he going to be like, whoops, I guess I was being insane? He just probably won't ever mention it again. He just won't mention it ever again. Daddy Sume, Reign of Terror, Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Who's going to be Robespierre this time? Not it.
Stating the police have basically no obligation to protect you or your property. So, I guess
ACAB.
that's why the
Weird right-wing loony says ACAB.
Second Amendment exists. I'm expecting direct attacks. I'm expecting attacks on polling stations during the election. Because
If anyone attacks a polling station this election, it'll be a right-winger. People on the left are not about this anti-democracy stuff. It's people like you. Again, nothing but projection all day long.
Because what better way to stop people from voting than to attack the polling station itself? Overwhelm the police. All bets are off. All you really got to do is take out 2 to 4 police in any department. You pretty much cripple them. You can do whatever you want and perhaps even get away with it. Now, I hope that doesn't happen, but my gut feeling is you can expect this. I hope it.
That could just be the title of this entire video. My gut feeling. None of this is actually real. I'm just very scared, and I want to blame people on the left for my problems, so here's an insane fan fiction I wrote.
Like I said, I don't condone violence. I hope it doesn't happen. This is just my gut feeling, in my opinion. All right, there will be massive lawsuits that may go on for months, especially if one side does not concede.
Only one side would not concede, and that would be Trump. Like, it also depends on when the election gets called, because there's a lot of, like, absentee ballots and stuff that need to be counted, but, like, once the election gets called, Biden, if he lost, would concede. Trump would not. That's the difference. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Trump concedes. I just don't have a feeling he will. I think he's going to try and take it to the Supreme Court, even if he has absolutely no standing whatsoever. Daddy Sume, what? 2 to 4 police officers will cripple a police force? Yeah, that's weird to me too. That's definitely untrue. A lot of police departments have way more people than, like, where that would make a difference. The Ender 92, did it just sound like he was like, this would happen? Wink, wink, please don't do it? I have no idea. I think he's just legit stupid. I don't know if I think he's saying that as, like, a wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
This will help basically inflame violence, riots, assassinations, incursions, the whole deal. It's only going to make it worse. Also, word on the street is they can expect a direct attack on Washington, D.C. itself.
Who is saying this, and why are you stupid enough to believe them?
So, if people were smart, they would activate National Guard units probably a good 5 to 10 days prior to the elections and having them on standby, because that goes a long way to preventing craziness. Now, I hope none of this comes to pass.
Let's prevent craziness by declaring martial law. Okay, seems extreme for something that we have no evidence is going to happen. Jesus.
But, in my professional opinion, from all the pieces that are on the table and all of the shit that's basically going to come to light, they really have no choice but to do something like this, or to at least try.
Jeez, this guy's crazy. I hate this guy. I really, really do. What a nut. What an absolute nut. Anyway.